Hey, welcome to this painting tutorial. Today we're going to go over step by step how to paint this beautiful snowman. He is going to be perfect for the holidays. As you follow along, you will find how you're going to learn a few painting techniques as well as blending techniques. This design can also be simplified for a younger audience of painters. As you can see here on the screen, these are the materials we're going to be using for today. So let's go ahead and get started going over with the materials so you know what they all are and you can get familiar with them. First, we have our paint, phthalo blue, ultramarine blue, yellow ochre, bright yellow, chrome orange, brown, black, and white. Three different paintbrushes. We were just going to call them large, medium, and small. Cup of water to rinse our paintbrushes as we go. All right, let's get to it. First, we're going to paint the background. We're going to start with the lightest colors to the darkest. Large paintbrush, color white, and right on the snowflake, we're going to just saturate that area with a good amount of white. Do not worry about your snowflake. It is still going to show after the paint dries. You will also notice how the pencil lead smears a little bit into the white. Not a big deal. We will go ahead and line down this area when we apply a second coat. So very deliberately with your large paintbrush, color white, we're going to go all the way around that snowflake. We're going to make a big circle all the way around it. This is looking really good. Notice how my white reaches all the way out almost to the hat of the snowman. Next, without rinsing the brush, we're going to dip it into the bright yellow and we're going to tackle that white from the surrounding areas, allowing the center of the white, also the center of the snowflake, to remain the brightest or the lightest. So I did run my brush a little bit on that center area because I do want it to be a little bit of a light yellow, but I did that after going around the white first, which means I did not have that much yellow on my paintbrush when I went into the center. Now I go back outside into the outer layers of the white, applying the bright yellow with it so they can blend. Now keep in mind that this background will take a couple of layers. So just trust the process. Here I'm going around the face area and around the Christmas ornament, still using my white and my yellow, which eventually they blended together. And next I'm gonna grab a little bit of white and that phthalo blue. We are gonna stay on the lightest shade of that green because we wanted to keep it light. Okay, and we're gonna go all the way around the hand and we are gonna go upwards into the light yellow. Now, I want you to keep in mind that in order to create a nice blend, we need to make sure that our paintbrush isn't loaded with a lot of paint. So you want the lightest amount of paint when you are ready to go into your yellow, like right now. I don't have that much paint on my brush, and now I'm starting to mesh the two colors together, slightly going into my yellow upwards as to create a radiant color. Okay, this is looking really good. Now remember that this is going to be different layers and you are more than welcome to customize your sky however you like it. If you like it darker or lighter, it's up to you. Now we're going to rinse the brush and we're going to keep working on the sky area. Now we're going to grab the phthalo green with that clean brush and we're going to start in the corner, upper corner on the left. right above the hat. We're gonna go all the way around the hat. But before we touch the yellow, we need to make sure that everything to our left is painted with green only. So that phthalo green should be the only color that is predominantly on that space. And as I get ready to get into my yellow, notice how I'm going to make sure that I don't have a lot of paint into my brush. And here I just went back very quickly to make sure that that green is nice and deep. And here I'm getting ready to mesh the two colors together again. Here we go. I'm just doing quick little strokes. They're almost like X's, and they will begin to blend with our yellow. Now, if you see a drastic line in between your two colors, the yellow and the green, that means we have not blended our two colors that much yet. So we need to blend a little bit more and to make sure that there's a seamless transition between your two colors. And you will achieve that again by making sure that you don't have a lot of green. Like right now, I just wiped off my green because I had too much. So I'm just gonna go back and apply a little bit more of it towards the top right. And it's a little bit only because the lightest area is focused on that spot. So we want to make sure that we don't put a lot of dark green on that corner. And I'm going to keep bringing this combination of the green and the yellow all the way across and around the face. Okay, I have a good first layer, and you didn't see me here, but I did rinse off my brush, and I went into my yellow one more time because I want to make it a little bit brighter, a little bit more yellow. And I'm just adding a second layer of just yellow, the bright yellow, that is. Now grabbing a little bit of that green just to bring that back up there. We do want, but just a touch. We do want that green on here, but just a little bit. Again, notice those little access strokes. Those are very important in order for you to be able to blend those two colors together. So they're just little X's. They're very abstract and they give you a good amount of texture to your background. So it's not just a flat surface, you have some strokes showing on there. Here I'm going for that second layer of green, just making sure that I have a nice deep green on there. Again, when I get closer into my yellow, I start to make those little X's, wipe off the brush so I don't have an excess of green. Keep doing the little X's going into my yellow. And that's what's going to give me that good gradient color, the good combo, the good combination, and the good blend in between my two colors. Okay, this is looking really good. And what I want to do next is I want to create a mixture of that light teal for the back of the snowman. As you notice, right in the back area between the neck and the head, there is a blank space. So we want to tackle that by creating a light teal. And we're going to do that by rinsing a brush and we're going to dip it into our white, yellow, the bright yellow, and a little bit of that phthalo green. That's going to give us that teal that we want. And we're going to apply it right in this back area. And what you're going to do is you're going to match it as much as you can, as much as possible, to the front area of the canvas. So here I did that a little bit too green. So now I'm going to go ahead and grab just a little bit more white. Okay, that looks pretty good. Next, I'm going to rinse my brush and I'm gonna go back into the light snowflakes and I'm going to make that area even a little lighter, a little more white. So make sure my brush is nice and rinsed and I'm going to dip it into my white and it's just a minimal amount. It's not too much, just the corner of my brush to add that brightness into the center. Beautiful. This background is looking amazing. And next we're going to be using our medium brush and we're going to start working on the hat. With the medium brush, make sure it's nice and clean and the color brown. We're going to make some lines on the hat. So go ahead and grab your medium brush, color brown, and we're going to go across these lines as you see here. Again, these are layers, so just trust the process. Okay, so that's the third line. Wipe off the brush. You don't need to clean it. And then we're going to go into the yellow ochre, not the bright yellow, the darker yellow. So the yellow ochre, and we're going to use that medium brush, and we're going to just fill in that top part of the hat. We are going to slightly touch that brown. We want to take a little bit of that brown all the way across and just keep it on the top. Same thing down here as we make our way across with the yellow ochre, we're gonna slightly touch that brown. Now do keep in mind that you need to do these two steps right back to back. So you can't apply the brown and then go get a drink and then come back. Your brown needs to be wet in order for this step to work. Now here I'm wiping off my brush so I don't have any brown on it and then start in the center with the yellow ochre again. And as I make my way across, slightly touch on that brown. Again, just keeping the brown to the edges. We don't want it in the center of our hat. So fill that area in and we will do the same thing to the little puff ball on the hat. Okay, this is again the medium brush and the yellow ochre. And after I get done filling in this circle, I'm going to start pouncing up and down. I'm going to dab, still using the same brush, still using the same color, and I'm gonna start dabbing up and down on the lines, on the outer lines of the circle. And this is just gonna give me a very abstract little strokes, and these are going to make it look like it's puffy. So as you can see here, we're just as You don't want to go too much outside of the circle, just slightly out. And make sure it doesn't have a pattern. Rinse your brush. And now I'm gonna pour myself a little more yellow ochre. And the next is gonna be the second layer for this hat. Now I want you to do the hat and then move on to the scarf, okay? So do the hat first, just like I'm showing you. Here, medium brush. Now we're gonna mix the bright yellow with the yellow ochre. This is just gonna give us a mid-tone for our yellows. We're gonna blend those really well. When you're mixing your colors, you wanna make sure that your circle is pretty small. You don't wanna get a real big circle because then you end up painting your plate instead of painting your canvas. So here my mix is very well blended. And what I want to do is I want to just go on chunky. I want it to be very texture. So I'm grabbing a good amount of that paint and I almost just lay it and stroke only a couple of times. I don't want to blend too much because then you are going to be blending onto the previous layer that you had. And we don't want to do that. Okay, we want to leave this layer kind of having its own personality, its own show. So don't blend too much. Don't stroke too much into a same area. Apply it, stroke once, twice maybe at the most, and move on to the next area. Okay. All right, then as I complete doing this step, I'm going to get ready for my next layer. But before, we're going to do the same thing with the puffball. The same layer, the same color. Then we're going to rinse off the brush and we're going to create a new mixture. Now I'm going to pour a little bit of that bright yellow and we're going to blend it with some white. So just regular titanium white. And we're going to want more white than yellow. We wanted a light yellow. So let's go ahead and get that nicely blended. Again, keep your circles small. And then we're going to go ahead and apply it. Now this is going to be drastically contrasting because it's quite lighter, which is what we want. But we don't want to take over our previous layer. As you can see here, I'm only stroking very abstractly and I'm leaving a little bit of that darker yellow show through. I don't want to take over. I don't want it to turn into one yellow. I want to show the variety of yellows because that's what we applied 3 layers so far. And we'll do the same thing with each segment on our hat. And after we do that, then we're going to move on to the scarf, applying the same concepts. We'll start with our yellow ochre, and then the mix with the bright yellow with the yellow ochre, and then the third layer, which is the bright yellow mixed with the white. You guys, this scarf is looking really good. Then next we are going to paint the ornament. And that's going to be with the yellow ochre first. And we're going to also add a couple more layers, and you'll see here. All right, so we're just going to wipe off the brush really well. And then we're going to grab just yellow ochre. And we're going to fill in the entire ornament, just the bottom part of the ornament. Then, without even cleaning my brush, I'm going to go into the lighter shade of yellow, and I'm going to paint the top part of the ornament. So you're going to notice that there's a difference in the two yellows, right? The little top is going to be lighter yellow. The circle is going to be the yellow ochre. And lastly, we're going to do the ring with that light yellow. All right, you guys, we're doing a very good job here. Next, we are going to paint the nose. As we all know, the noses are carrots, so they're orange, right? Except we're not going to use the orange straight out of the bottle, right how we show it here. What we're going to do is we're going to make a mixture. So we're going to grab a small amount of that yellow ochre, and we're going to mix it with our orange. This is just going to give it a toned down look. It won't be as loud, it won't be as bright. And then after we do that, then we're going to go ahead and just fill in that nose. All right. Now, this nose is going to get different layers as well. But while we have this orange here, we want to go ahead and paint the gloves as well. Very good. As we finish these gloves, then we're going to go back into the Christmas ornament, and we're going to give it its second layer, and that's going to be the mid-tone of the yellow. So that would be the mixture, I mean, not the mid-tone, but the lightest tone, which is the yellow mixed with the white right here. And we're going to add it just on the left hand side as to give it some highlight. Once we are happy with it, then we're also going to do some of the highlight onto the top part of the ornament. And it is just a small amount. Again, we don't want to blend the two layers together. We want the layers to stand out in their own, like this. I'm not blending too much. I'm just applying it, letting it be, let it stand out. Okay? Okay, and as I mentioned earlier, the carrot will have different layers, and I don't want the carrot to be too yellow, or I mean too orange, so I'm going to add yellow. And that's the lightest yellow, the mixture of the white with the yellow. And I'm going to just add it all over the carrot. I still show a minimal amount of the yellow. Sorry, a minimal amount of the orange, but the yellow is what is showing the most, the light yellow. Okay, now this nose is looking really good. Next, we're going to move on to the body of our snowman. And for that, we're going to be using our ultramarine blue, and we are going to create an outline all around and under the scarf. So make your way all the way around. We don't want to fill it in, okay? It's just one, it's a good thick line. It's not too thin because we want to grab some of that blue into our belly. So you'll see what I mean here. I'm just fixing a little oopsie right now and keep going. Just make sure my brush is nice and clean again. And we're gonna keep making our way across the scarf. There we go. And as you see, I outlined the entire belly and under the scarf. Okay. And again, this step is the same as the hat, where you have to do them both immediately, one after the other. Here, with the same brush, I dipped it into the white, and I want to slightly go into the ultramarine blue and pull it downwards or inwards to the center of the belly. Okay. And I don't want to leave too much of the ultramarine blue showing. I want to mainly just touch the entire area with the white on the brush and just keep pulling it downwards and inwards. And I'll do the same thing with both sides. You don't want too much of the blue. You can always add more white as it dries, but you just want a little bit of that blue so that it gives us the feel that it's cool, that it's frozen, right? That is snow. Once you are happy with your belly, then we're going to do the same thing on the face. And you can paint over the smile and over the eyes. They will still show. Looking very good. Now we're going to rinse the brush once you're happy with the face. And we're also going to allow the painting to dry because the next step requires the belly to be dried. This is called dry brushing. So I'm gonna let it sit here for a few minutes and then I'll be right back. Okay, we are ready. This is called dry brushing. Using our medium brush, we want to use the lightest yellow and just a small amount of it at a time. As you can see on the screen, I load up my yellow and then I wipe some off. So I don't have an excess amount. I just want very little. And the strokes I do are very soft. I don't want to use a lot of pressure because I don't want to take over the white or the blue, right? I want to leave those showing. This is just a light glow on his body that is reflected onto his body from the sky. Okay, and I'm just adding a light layer of this yellow. It's dry brushing. Just dry brush it all the way throughout the body, and same thing with the face. Now we're gonna go back and work on this snowflake. With the small brush and yellow ochre, we're just gonna go over every single line of the snowflake. Now keep in mind that every time you wanna do thin, small lines with the small brush, it's very important to keep in mind two things. Very little paint and very little pressure. I'm barely touching my canvas. It's like I'm caressing it. And another thing that is also important, I guess there's three things. You have to wipe off the brush every so often because it's a small brush and the paint is going to get saturated on there. And the more globby paint that you have on your brush, the thicker the strokes are going to come out. And we don't want them to be thick here. So in this step, we are going to be cleaning our brush every so often. Okay, and once we cover it all with the yellow ochre, then we're gonna do the lightest shade of yellow in the same brush. We don't want to cover up the darker yellow. We just want to complement them too. Like get them two colors along with each other. After this, we're gonna rinse the brush and we're gonna painting the eyes and we're gonna do the smile. Now, when it comes to the eyes, if you are more comfortable, you can just paint the entire eye black, let it dry, and then come back and do the white dot, the light reflection, with the small brush and the color white. I'm gonna go around the little circle because it's easier for me, but it's totally up to you. If you feel like you're gonna mess up or whatever, you can just paint the entire thing, let it dry, and then just make two little white dots as picture above. All right, and then after this, we're gonna do the smile, and we're almost pretty much done, you guys, believe it or not. Oh, and the eyebrows as well. We gotta do those eyebrows. There we go. What a cutie. All right, then we're gonna paint the arms using a little bit of black with brown. Small brush and painting the arms. All right, so let's go ahead and make sure that all of our paintbrushes are clean, nicely rinsed, and then we're gonna start adding some highlights. This is gonna be done with the medium brush and just white, just the white color. And we're gonna start on the puff ball, and we're gonna just do the bouncing up and down with our medium brush, color white, adding those highlights on that nice puffy ball. And once we do that, we will be moving downwards to the head, the face, the body, and so on. These are very light strokes. You do not want to pick up a bunch of white at once. Every stroke should have just a little amount of paint, almost nothing. Now, after the highlights, we are going to add the snowflakes, my favorite part. This is going to be done with the light yellow, which is going to be the mixture of white and yellow, and also white. So two color snowflakes, a light yellow snowflake and the white snowflake. I think that the white is just gonna make it look more whimsical, and I know snowflakes are not yellow, but just for fun, right? And the way I am applying this, look at my wrist, how I move from one side to the other. And this is to create the snowflakes and give them a directional difference. So they're all pointing different areas. So I want to apply these flakes all over the place. On the hat, on his face, by the nose, on the ornament, on the yellow gloves. So make sure these snowflakes land everywhere. Do not make them too huge. You don't want to make them so big, okay? And you also want to make different sizes. Some of them small, some of them are big. And the way you do this is by pressure. If you apply too much pressure, the snowflakes are going to be bigger. If you apply little pressure, your snowflakes are going to be small. So once you're happy with the amount of yellows, then move on to the white snowflakes and doing the same. You guys, this is looking adorable. I'm very happy how it turned out. And just one more step. We're going to add some highlights onto the arms, and that's it. You guys, thank you so much for painting with me, and I will see you on the next one. Goodbye.